Let's get one thing straight before we go any further. I don't like people. Never really have. Nothing personal, rookie. You're sitting there with wide eyes and a new notebook, probably thinking I'm just one of those old-timers with a chip on my shoulder. Maybe I am. But I've earned it. 37 seasons on this mountain will do that to a man. You sit up here long enough with nothing but the wind and the birds for company, and eventually the rest of the world, it starts feeling distant. Fuzzy, almost. Like it's behind a foggy window you don't feel like cleaning. Name's Clive. I come back every spring. Not because I have to, not for the paycheck. Us rangers, we don't get paid that much. I come back here because someone's got to be up here. Someone who remembers what this place is, what it does, and what it takes. You'll learn all that soon enough. You will, but right now you're sitting across from me in the ranger cabin with fresh boots, a brand new patch on your shoulder, and that look on your face like you're on some kind of adventure. Hell, maybe you are. That's how I felt on my first day, too. I was back in, oh my gosh, 88. I was 23. Same as you probably are, give or take. Thought it'd be peaceful. Quiet. Something simple. Didn't take long for the forest to prove me wrong. But I ain't gonna dive into all that just yet. You just got here, alright, let's start slow. People always say I look like I belong up here. I guess they're right. I'm wiry now, I know. Bones like steel and skin like bark. My shoulders creak when I stretch, I know you heard it. And I've got one knee that likes to act up when rain's on the way. I think it's gonna rain in about 3 days. I live light. One pack. One radio. A mug that's probably older than you, and a cot that still smells like cedar from when I built it. No TV, no signal. The station has a large bookshelf that we're free to use. They've got all that classic paperbacks, though some of them are missing half their pages. When the snow melts and the wildflowers start poking through the ash, that's when I hike up. Every year, without fail. I stay until the frost bites back. That's the rhythm of it. Like breathing. Like a long, slow exhale across the summer. And when there's a rookie like you, well, then I've got someone to talk to. Someone to tell my stories to. Not the ones in the training manual, mind you. Not the clipboard crap they give you in orientation. I am talking about the real ones. The kind of stories that stick to your boots like mud, even after you leave. Now, you see, most folks think fire lookouts are just binoculars with legs. Sit on a tower, scan for smoke, call it in. Now that's true on paper, but these mountains are older than your badge. Older than mine, too. And they've got their own ways of keeping watch. Their own way of testing who belongs. I've seen rookies come and go. Some don't even finish their first season. Few leave early. One left at midnight without her boots. Another walked off the ridge trail and never came back. The search crew found his notebook tucked under a pile of rocks. Nothing else. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take it slow, like I said. You and me. We've got a whole season ahead. Might as well get to know each other. Let me tell you about this tower. Now, Tower L7A was never meant to be manned year-round. Wasn't built for comfort, efficiency, or even elevation. The sightlines are a joke. Too many blind spots, Too many valleys you can't scan without leaving the tower itself. The access road's a mess of washouts and switchbacks no truck can climb after mid-August. The foundation's crooked. The wiring's been chewed through by squirrels, the damn squirrels more than once, and if the wind shifts just right, the outhouse doors swing wide open like it's trying to tell you something. So no, it's not smart planning. It's not fire prevention. It's something else entirely. You won't find the real reason on any map, not in the Forest Service database either, unless you know what folder to dig through and what words they buried under acronyms. But I've been here long enough to stop pretending. The surveyors who picked this spot, they didn't use compasses. They didn't even bring gear. Old-timers said they came up here with scraps of leather and little cloth pouches, mumbling to themselves and refusing to speak the coordinates out loud. When they'd picked the location, they marked it with a ring of salt and small animal bones. Rabbits, mostly. But some of the pieces didn't match any critter I've ever seen. Later, someone added a post, then a platform, then a tower. On record, L7A is a fire watch station for the northern sector. Off record, it's a containment post. A last guardrail between federal land and something else. I used to think that sounded dramatic. Back in my second year, I started looking into it. You can learn a lot if you read between the lines. Go back far enough in the logs and you'll see what I mean. Most of the older rangers, ones who worked here before me, never filed formal complaints, but they left journals behind. And the journals are full of warnings. Little things at first. A new watch that kept ticking backwards. People from photos disappearing. A burned circle of grass out past the East Trail that came back every year, no matter how many times they dug it up. A ranger who reported seeing the same family of hikers every afternoon for a week straight, wearing the same clothes, with the same scratch on the father's arm. They started calling it the pass-through. Not a portal, not a gate, just a soft place. A loose seam in the world where things crossed without making a sound. According to them, this place is where the dead come back through, wearing borrowed skin. Where wounded animals walk east, not to die, but to return different. Where a misplaced photograph, a stolen bite of fruit, or a sentimental object stashed in the wrong spot can break open something that's only ever been barely shut. They say it doesn't happen often. Maybe once a season, maybe less. But when it does, the damage is quiet, and it lasts. There's a reason I come back every spring. I don't like being the last line, but I've seen what happens when no one's here to watch. Every rule in the logbook, it's there because someone broke it. Someone didn't listen, and the forest came to collect what it was owed. I know how that sounds. I know it probably feels like too much, too fast, but that's the truth of it. You're not up here to keep fire out of the trees. You're here to make sure what's inside the forest stays inside, and to survive your season without leaving any part of yourself behind. That is harder than it sounds. When people ignore the rules, they get hurt. They fall, they break bones, they go missing. Sometimes they're found miles from where they should be, without their boots, without their packs. Sometimes they don't come back at all. That happens. But that's not the worst of it. The worst part is when they do come back and something's different. Not obvious at first. Just a little off. The way they talk, the way they look at you too long without blinking, the way they forget things they should know and remember things they were never told. That's when you know something followed them back, or something got left behind. This place, it's not haunted. It's not cursed either. But things happen here. Strange things. Enough that you stop calling them coincidences. Sometimes it's just tools going missing, or paths shifting in ways they shouldn't. Other times it's worse. Rangers getting hurt, getting turned around, ending up someplace they swear they have never seen before, even if they've walked the same trail 100 times. The tower, it gets under your skin if you let it. L7A has a history. That's all you need to know. Things have happened here that don't happen in other towers. And once you start your season, you're part of that. Whether you believe in the rules or not. You want to make it through the season good, then you need to learn the rules. Starting with this one. Rule number 1. Never eat fruit found in the wild. I've seen it happen 3 times. That is more than enough. The first time was my second season up here. Late July. Dry heat, clear skies. The kind of days where the bugs stick to your skin and your shirt turns stiff from salt. I was green then. Still believed that the worst thing that could happen was a lightning strike in a fast-moving blaze. The rookie I was training, name was Lucas. Easygoing type. Kind of guy who always whistled without realizing it. It drove me crazy. He brought a fishing pole up to the mountain, if you can believe that, thinking he'd find a stream near the tower. Didn't matter that I told him 3 times there wasn't one. He went out anyway, poking around past the boundary markers, convinced he'd find something to bring back and fry up on the little stove. He came back with a pocket full of fruit. It looked like apples at first. Small, smooth, pale green with red streaks. He offered me one, and I told him no. I didn't give him a reason then. Just shook my head and kept flipping through the logbook. He shrugged and took a bite. Didn't even finish it. Left the core in the tin sink and went to bed early. By morning, he'd already started to forget things. Not big things, small ones. His locker code, my name, what day it was. He asked me the same question 4 times before noon. And that's when I started watching him real close. Over the next 3 days, he got quieter, slower, like someone had turned down the volume inside his head. He sat for hours without moving, just looking out past the ridgeline. I asked if he was feeling all right. He said yes, but didn't meet my eyes. Said everything tasted like dirt. Even the instant coffee he used to drink by the cup. By the 5th day, he stopped talking altogether. On the 6th day, I woke up and he was gone. No note, no bag, the tower door wide open. I followed his boot tracks as far as I could. They led east. Everything that goes wrong out here leads east. We found him 2 weeks later, or most of him. His body was sitting under an ash tree at the edge of a dry creek bed, upright, like he'd just taken a seat. Face blank, eyes open but dried out. The weird part wasn't his expression, though. It was the fact that something had stacked little white stones around him. A ring, neat and even, like a border. His notebook was gone, so was his nameplate. I filed the report. They listed it as exposure and dehydration, but I knew better. No berries, no apples, no wild pears, that's the rule. If it didn't come up in a crate, don't put it in your mouth. That includes the weird little orange things that look like tangerines, the red fruit with yellow fuzz, the glossy black seeds that sometimes grow in clusters near the creek. Don't even touch those. They'll stain your fingers, and you'll have to scrub your hands till they bleed just to get the stain off. The forest marks you when you eat the fruit. Not spiritually, legally. It's like guest rights in old villages. You break bread in someone's house, you're bound by their rules. Doesn't matter if you understand them or not. You're playing their game now. You're on their board. Eat the fruit and you are part of the forest. The old-timers said the trees notice when someone takes what isn't theirs. They don't speak or move. They just remember. And the next time you pass under their branches, they lean a little lower, just enough to remind you that you owe them something. It's an old law, not one written in any book you've seen, but older than that. I don't know when it started. I just know it works the same as the Greek myth, the one you probably heard back in high school. Yeah, the pomegranate seeds. Hades, his wife, you know how the legend goes. She only ate a few, just a taste, and that was enough. She couldn't leave the underworld because of it. That little bit of sweetness cost that sweet little thing her life. That's the forest for you. Eat the fruit and you've accepted the invitation. Doesn't matter if you didn't mean to. Doesn't matter if you were hungry. Doesn't even matter if you spit it out right after. The second you take a bite, the forest sees you different. You're not a guest anymore. You are a resident. And things go differently for residents. Sometimes people who break the rules get lost, even if they know the trail by heart. They'll take one step off path and end up somewhere that doesn't match the map. Sometimes they stop sleeping. They'll sit up at night, staring at the tree line like they're waiting for something. Other times, they start getting sick. Nosebleeds, migraines, vomiting, things the med team can't explain. Watches stop working, compasses spin. There was a ranger who ignored the food rule, thought he was being clever, said the berries looked just like the ones back home. He only ate a few. Within 2 days, he started getting dizzy, kept losing track of conversations. He wrote the same thing in the log 3 times in a row without realizing it. By day 4, he was having full blackouts, waking up outside on the ground without knowing how he got there. No memory of the night before. He started locking himself inside the tower, but it didn't help. Things got worse. Cuts on his arms he couldn't explain. His hands shook too much to hold a pen. On day 6, he called in for a transfer. We never heard from him again. No paperwork, no forwarding info. I checked the division logs myself. It is like he was scrubbed out completely. He wasn't the first, and he will not be the last. You'll be tempted. You will. Some nights get long up here, and you'll crave something fresh. A break from cans and powdered eggs. You'll see those little berries glowing under moonlight and think they look harmless. Don't be an idiot, they're not. They're a test. And this place doesn't give you a second try. If you're starving, boil pine bark. I don't know, eat dandelions. Tear up your field journal and chew the pulp if you have to, okay? But don't eat the fruit. If it comes down to it, just go hungry. You look a little chubby anyway, so consider it a diet. You'll be miserable, sure. You'll feel weak, you'll get headaches, your hands will shake. But you'll still be yourself. You'll still be thinking straight. You'll still have the option to walk out of here when the season ends. You eat from this forest, and that changes. So don't test it, all right? Don't risk it. Never eat fruit found in the wild. All right, rule number 2. Do not bring personal objects into the tower. There's a reason I tell rookies to pack light. Real light. You don't bring anything sentimental up here. Not photos, not gifts from family, not letters, keepsakes, anything tied to your life outside this job. The tower is not the place for it. I know it sounds strange. You're out here for weeks at a time, maybe months. It's natural to want something that reminds you of home, something to keep you grounded. But that's the problem. It does the opposite. It roots you in the wrong place. Once you bring something personal into the tower, you're not just passing through anymore. You're making yourself part of it. You're setting up camp in a place that doesn't want you to stay, and it changes how this place treats you. I didn't believe it either when I started. Nobody does. But then I brought a photo, just a small one, wallet-sized, of my brother and me when we were kids. Taped it above the desk. I told myself it was just for morale, something to keep me steady when the long shifts started wearing me down. Within a week, things felt off. I started forgetting simple things, radio check times, log entries I'd written that morning, whether or not I'd locked the hatch. Nothing major at first, just a little more scatterbrained than usual. Then came the long stretches where I'd catch myself staring out the window without knowing why. I wasn't watching for smoke or checking terrain. I was just zoning out for minutes at a time. It didn't take long before I started dreaming about the tower, even while I was in it. Couldn't tell if I was asleep or awake. Couldn't remember packing my own meals or writing the reports I saw in my handwriting. Felt like I was getting absorbed into the routine in a way that wasn't normal. Not fatigue, no, not isolation. Like something wanted me to stay on autopilot. When the season ended, I left the picture behind without thinking. Realized it halfway down the mountain. Hiked back up the next day, but when I opened the drawer, it wasn't there. I tore the place apart looking for it. Floorboards, desk drawers, cot lining, even the latrine. Gone. Clean. When I came back the next spring, I found it tucked behind the pages of the incident logbook, a book nobody was supposed to touch in the off-season. But there it was, right where it shouldn't be. And that's when I started paying attention to the stories. A ranger once brought up a bracelet his daughter had made for him. Said it was a lucky charm, something to remind him why he did the job. Midway through the season, he started having trouble with his hands. Couldn't hold a pen. Said they ached like arthritis, even though he was only in his 30s. Then he started dropping things. Tools, coffee mugs, once a lit match. He swore it wasn't the altitude or fatigue. Said he felt like his arms were moving without him sometimes, like they weren't taking orders anymore. He left early. No warning. Just packed up and hiked down in the middle of a rainstorm. He never came back. I checked his locker the season after. Empty, except for that bracelet, sitting right in the middle of the floor. We've had other incidents too. Another guy brought his wedding ring, wore it on a chain around his neck. Said he took it off only because he didn't want to lose it while chopping wood. Said it helped him feel normal. By the end of the season, he couldn't sleep unless he was lying on the floor. Said the cot felt off. He forgot how to work the radio. Started misreading the maps. He kept telling me he'd see someone in the trees, just standing there. We did a sweep. Nothing. A week later, he took off during a supply drop. Didn't even grab his pack. Just walked straight into the woods. Gone. I'm not saying the objects are cursed. I'm saying they don't belong here. This isn't your house. This isn't your home. You're supposed to pass through, do the job, and leave. When you bring something that carries real meaning, something tied to your life, you're inviting this place to notice you, to remember you. And it does. People don't think land can do that, but land has memory, just not in a way we measure. Think about the places you've lived. Some feel good, don't they? Some don't. Some rooms you walk into, and you immediately know you're not welcome. Same goes for the tower. It knows the difference between someone doing a job and someone trying to get comfortable. The second you make it personal, the tower makes you part of it. And if that happens, well, you'll find it harder and harder to leave. Not because something holds you back, but because you won't want to go. You'll forget why you came. You'll lose track of time. You'll stop thinking about home. Some rangers don't even remember who they were outside the job. That's not how it starts. That's how it ends. So here's what you do, all right? Keep your pack clean. Bring food, clothes, a radio, and a paperback from the station's bookshelf. That is it. No photos, no keepsakes, nothing from before. Leave your life at the base of the trail. Pick it back up when you come down. Do not bring personal items into the tower. Rule number 3. Do not photograph the deer. There's a rule up here, one that matters more than most. Never, ever photograph the deer. I don't mean the usual don't feed the wildlife kind of warning they slap on brochures or trail signs. This isn't about safety or science. It's about respect, about not interfering with things you don't understand. It's about knowing when something isn't yours to touch, and more importantly, isn't yours to see. Not through a lens, not through glass, and certainly not through something that captures and freezes a moment that was never meant to be held still. There's a reason I don't keep a camera up here. It's not because I don't care about the views. You can't live in a fire tower and not appreciate what you see. Some mornings, when the sun lifts out of the valley like it's been pulled from deep water, it'll stop your breath cold. Even after all these years. Even after all the things I've seen. The light turns the whole ridge gold, and for one slow minute, it feels like the world is beginning again. But I still don't take pictures. Especially not of the deer. The reason's not superstition. It's old truth. Older than the tower and older than the maps that pretend this place has borders. The people who lived here long before the fire service ever stuck a metal pole into the soil. Before there were towers, badges, radios, they knew this rule. It was never written in a handbook or stapled to a tree. It was something you were taught, passed down in stories and warnings and hard stares when you got too curious. They had a word for the deer that show up near the tower. It didn't translate cleanly, but the closest we've got is those who walk with borrowed skin. That's what they believe the deer were. Not animals, but not a ghost either. Something in between. Something passing through. Maybe they were spirits on their way somewhere. Maybe they were something else entirely. All I know is that they're not fully of this world, and they shouldn't be held here longer than they need to be. To take a picture of one, to trap its image in glass and film or digital memory, is to interrupt that passage. It's not just disrespectful, it's a kind of theft. You stop it from continuing, from finishing whatever its journey is. You turn its pause into a prison. And that comes with consequences. Real ones. We used to think that snapping a picture just upset the animals, that they spooked easy like most prey do. But that's not what happens. The deer don't run when you point a lens at them. They wait. They watch. And then they do something worse. Those who ignore this rule, who take the photo anyway, don't just risk scaring off an animal. They risk a kind of reversal. What I mean is this. When you capture the deer's image, your own image becomes vulnerable. It's like a trade has been forced upon, a balance disturbed. The forest doesn't forget, and the next time someone looks for you, what they find might not exactly be you anymore. There's history behind that. Tyler was one of the early rangers to ignore the rule. Summer in the 90s. He brought a camera up the trail, one of those sturdy old Kodaks, and started snapping pictures of everything. Trees, clouds, birds, but mostly the deer. A whole roll of them. According to the logs, he even converted the washroom into a makeshift darkroom so he could develop the film himself. That was his third week. 3 days after he finished developing the photos, Tyler was gone. Nobody saw him leave. The tower door was wide open. His boots were missing, but everything else was left behind. There were no signs of a struggle. No blood, nothing broken, just gone. When the response team went up to check, all they found was a crushed camera lens, shattered like it'd been stomped or bitten. The film he left behind was warped. Some of the images were blackened, scorched looking. Others, they showed outlines where the deer should have been, but the shapes didn't line up right. 2 weeks later, someone saw Tyler near Lake Green, or at least, someone who looked like Tyler. Covered in dirt, walking barefoot, clothes hanging off him like they didn't fit right. His eyes were too wide. His skin, it looked drained out, like he'd been scrubbed of color. He moved like he wasn't used to his own limbs. Witnesses said his mouth kept twitching, opening and closing, like he couldn't figure out how to speak. That wasn't Tyler. Not really. But it wore his face. A week after that, he attacked his co-ranger. No argument, no struggle. Just walked across the room and started stabbing. Then he ran straight into the woods, and no one ever saw him again. His prints vanished after 50 yards. No scent trail. Nothing. That's the part people never understand. It's not just about someone going missing when you take pictures. It's that sometimes something else comes back instead. And when it does, it plays the part just well enough to slip by. Same badge, same boots, same habits, almost. Until it cracks. Until something breaks. I have seen the aftermath too many times. So if someone goes missing up here, and they show back up, don't just be glad to see them. Look closely. Because if they brought something back with them, or if they are what came back, you'll know. Not right away, but you'll know. So remember the rule. Do not photograph the deer. Not ever. Rule number 4. Do not track wounded animals beyond the 3rd ridge. There's a part of the forest you're not supposed to cross, and it starts at the 3rd ridge. You'll know it when you get there. Not because there's a sign, And not because the trees look much different, but because the birds stop singing. Things get too still. Trails don't line up with the maps. Your compass might start to drift. Once you've been out here long enough, you'll learn what it means. That's a boundary. It's not just a natural one, it's a cultural one too. A long-standing line that goes back further than this lookout tower, further than the ranger stations, and even further than the roads that cut across these hills. The people who lived on this land before us had rules about that ridge. Not just advice, rules. The stories passed down weren't just to entertain. They were there to keep people alive. According to local tradition, tribal stories that go back generations, the land east of the Third Ridge isn't ordinary ground. It's not wild in the sense of untamed wilderness. It's wild in a spiritual sense. It belongs to something else. They believed that after death, a spirit didn't just vanish. It needed to walk back. That was their word for it. Not a metaphor. An actual journey the soul had to complete, and the land beyond the ridge was part of that trail. They treated it like an in-between place. Not the world of the living, but not fully the afterlife either. And it wasn't only for people. It was for animals too. Especially ones that were injured or killed in violence, or didn't die clean. They believe that when an animal is hurt and still has the strength to make it east of that boundary, it's not just running to hide, it's returning to where it's supposed to go. They didn't try to stop it. They didn't follow. And they sure as hell didn't try to finish it off. They didn't explain it with spirits or monsters. It was simpler than that. They said that some animals, when wounded, begin to change, and that if you see one cross that ridge, it's already stopped being what you think it is, and it's no longer prey. So when you're out walking your route, and you see an animal bleeding and moving slow, and it starts heading east, remember this. It doesn't matter how hurt it looks. It doesn't matter if you think it's suffering. Once it's past that third ridge, it's not yours anymore. Don't touch it. Don't track it. Don't do anything. Just turn around and leave it be. Do not track wounded animals beyond the third ridge. Just let them go. Well, that's it. That's all of them. Those are the rules I got for you. You follow each rule, all right? You follow it exactly. And you keep following it until the season's over and your boots are back on pavement. I know how it sounds. Some of them probably didn't sit right with you. Maybe they felt like superstition, or like they were pulled from old stories meant for another time. But out here, the stories are how we learned what worked and what didn't. What kept people safe and what got them written out of the logs. The stories came first. The rules came later. Every one of them was written by someone who saw what happened when the line got crossed. This job, when you respect it, it's one of the best out there. The quiet is real. The beauty is real. There are nights when the sky cracks wide open and you will swear you've never seen stars that bright. There are mornings when the trees go still and you can hear a hawk circle miles off, and it's a feeling that will stick with you for the rest of your life. That's enough. You're not here to conquer anything. You're here to watch, to listen, to wait. You report the fires. You keep the log. You check your boots for ticks. You do your part, and then you leave. Whole. That's the deal. If you're lucky, and if you listen, You'll finish your season with a notebook full of uneventful days, the kind no one ever tells stories about. That's what you want. That means you did it right. And now that we've got all that sorted out, well, let's keep moving. The sun's nearly down. Grab your jacket, fill the thermos. I'll get the radio warmed up. We've got our patrol ahead of us. And it is going to be a long night. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the story. I had fun with this one. If you'd like to become a member on Patreon, there's a link in the description. We do early access. And it is audiobook style. So on there's no music, no sound effects. So it's cool. It's kind of different. Second channel, there should finally be a new story up. It's been a while because I moved, so everything's kind of a mess. But there should be a new true story video up by now when this video comes out. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hope everybody's doing well. And have a good night.